my new FPL Game Week 1 draft with just 2 weeks to go until the start of the season, with lots happening during preseason as well. In today's video, I'm going to take you through an update of what my current draft is looking like. We'll dive into a bit more detail, answer some of your questions, look at chip strategy. We'll talk about some big things like what happens if Isak moves, is Mo Salah essential, and actually, why don't I have space in my draft at the moment for the very popular Florian Wirtz? What is up, everyone? FPL Harry here. Before we dive in, 2,000 likes is the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here. And we're actually going to start off this video before we have a look at the draft about answering a few of your questions. Over the past couple of days, I've been asking for your questions over on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter as well. So thank you for sending them all in. And we've taken some of the broader ones that I think apply to the most people, and we're going to go and dive through some of those. Just to clear up a bit of confusion, that my widget in the top left was different from the details about the league code that I put up on screen. We've changed it. It was the one in the top left was what we had from last season, but we are donating 10p to charity for every single player in my mini league who finishes inside the top 25k. So make sure you're in the league. The code is up on screen. There's links in the description if you want it, but let's dive in and answering some of those questions. The first one is Salah a must own? Could someone like a Florian Wirtz, a Gakpo even now that Luis Diaz has left, or an Alexander Isak, if he signs for Liverpool, cover him? At the moment, I still think I want to start with Mo Salah just because of captaincy early on in the season, him being the most reliable of all those Liverpool players. And without Alexander Isak officially joining Liverpool, we don't have that route as of yet. If Isak was to join, though, and at a time that's decent enough before the start of the season, I do think something like a Wirtz Isak draft without Mo Salah is absolutely something we will start to see. But until we see Isak make the official move, then I can't say reliably. So at the moment, Salah is still in my draft. Next up, is Watkins a better, more reliable pick over going with someone like a Gyökeres of Arsenal? Again, at the moment, until we see Gyökeres get enough minutes during pre-season, he played his first minutes for Arsenal last night, I do think that Watkins is the safest and most reliable. They have a great run to start the season as well. He scored in back-to-back games during pre-season, and Arsenal's opening start to the season is not that great, especially given Manchester United look quite strong during pre-season as well. So at the moment, I do think Watkins is more reliable than going with Gyökeres, because of course with Kai Havertz, we can't be fully certain that Gyökeres is going to start the season and play as many minutes as maybe you'd want in an FPL pick. Number 3, is there a sort of bias that people are going too much in favour of the defenders that have defensive contributions? I think what it has done is opened up a pool of defenders who are now more reliable to play each and every week. Whereas before you'd rotate your defenders in around ones that there might be Hall potential playing it in easier fixtures, it's now safer to play someone like a Murillo or a Van Dijk in a slightly more difficult fixture. So having them in just makes your squad depth better, regardless of what fixture they do have. I do think when we're looking in terms of midfielders and maybe forwards as well, we need to be a little bit cautious of how many of the DEFCON players we are starting to pick. I've got Elliot Anderson in my team at the moment, and we'll have a look at that as to why. But I do think in defence it's important, but in the midfielders and forwards it's less important. Am I for against using chips early on in the season? And that sort of leads into the last question about what my current plan is for chips going on in the early part of the season. I don't have a problem with it at all. And I actually think because we have double chips now, of course, first half and second half of the season, playing chips in the first half is something we've got to do. And actually playing them earlier on is something I quite like. Game week 1 is, of course, the only time you can effectively play 2 chips at once. You can play your effective wildcard when you're selecting your game week 1 team, and then your bench boost if that's what you want to go with. However, it is also the time of the season where you have the least amount of budget. You also have the least amount of information. Are the 4.0 defenders going to be any good? Is there a 4 million goalkeeper who's likely to start? We also, of course, only have 100 million to spend when later on in the season, even if you play it in game week 10, 15, you're likely to have a bit more budget and, of course, that first wildcard to potentially build a better bench boost. I do quite like it, and actually getting it out of the way, particularly the bench boost is what we're talking about, getting it out of the way before the first wildcard so you can wildcard into a squad you really like without having to worry about it. I do like, and that is my current plan. My plan at the moment is to play the bench boost probably quite early, although not in game week 1 at the moment. Then wildcard later on, and then free hit and triple captain probably after that first wildcard. So let's have a look at my draft. But actually, just before we do that, this video is being sponsored by Club, the football manager game. Now, I've been playing this game myself for about 6 months. And at the end of the last season, they have given me the opportunity to work with them going into this season as well. The best way to describe this free-to-play game is it's basically a cross between Ultimate Team and FPL. So every 3 hours or so, you get the ability to open a pack, as you can see at the bottom of my screen, which we'll do in a moment, and it will give you a player that you can have the ability to add to your main squad. And then every week you get matched against a player to have the ability to earn rewards and improve your squad even further, depending on what they do in real life as well. I've also got a few upgrades that I'm doing so I can claim my coins and my other benefits, and I'm trying to upgrade my stadium slowly as well. But let's go ahead and see who the agent Manny is going to give me. So, base, Paul. It's not the best player. My squad is looking all right at the moment. I've had to buy a goalkeeper on loan though. Ooh, Spurs. Ooh, more. Probably not going to get in my starting 11, so we are going to reject him. We'll take a look at my team now. This is how we're lining up for the opening day. I've got a couple of Crystal Palace players waiting to come in for their better fixtures, and I do have a league for the season as well. So, if you go to the league section, once you've downloaded the app, there's a link in the description. Of course, click the join league, enter my code, which is up on screen now, just like that, and click search, and you'll be entered in my league for the season as well. It is honestly so much fun. I look at it every single day while I'm tinkering with FPL to try and improve my squad with the players that Manny, the agent, is giving me. That is my team for game week 1 at the moment. Now let's go back and have a look at my game week 1 draft. So diving back in and having a look at my draft at the moment, we're starting off in goal, and we've changed from going from Sanchez, who I like the most actually, to going with Kelleher now, of course, at Brentford. Now, the reason I've done this is I've gone with a Chelsea defender instead of Sanchez. If I find the money or find a defender I like, I still think Sanchez is my favourite goalkeeper, but you can't really go too wrong when picking a 4.5 million goalkeeper. And when you have a look at the fixtures that we've got to start the season, Chelsea actually have the best fixtures over the first 6 game weeks. And then we have Nottingham Forest, we have Aston Villa, Sunderland, but 5th is Brentford. Again, starting away at Nottingham Forest on the opening day. We know that Kelleher is a good goalkeeper from his time at Liverpool as well. So I've got no problems with going with him. I do have my own, a couple of other ones. We've got Verbruggen in at Brighton. We're also looking at Areola at West Ham. We're looking at Jose Sarr, potentially of Wolves as well. We're looking at Petrovic now at Bournemouth. There are quite a few 4.5 million goalkeepers that I'm keeping my eye on. But at the moment, we've gone with the Brentford option in Flecken. We've also got a 4.0 million option in Bentley on the bench as well. He has played a couple of games in pre-season because Jose Sarr has been struggling with an eye injury, but it does look like we don't have any reliable 4 million options at the moment. Then moving into defence. So as I said, there is a Chelsea defender, and I've gone with Colwell. I don't quite have the money at the moment to stretch up to Cucurella, who I'd quite like. I do want a Chelsea defender, as I don't plan on wildcarding too early. So holding a Chelsea defender for the first 10 game weeks or so looks really nice with their long-term fixtures. I just want to keep an eye, though, how long it takes them to get back into the pre-season, because of course they are still on holiday after the Club World Cup. Gabriel is not fully back for Arsenal, though Arteta has said today that he does expect him to be back for game week 1. So I've gone with Sleeper at the moment, just a nice, reliable 6 million option. Again, because I'm delaying the wildcard until about game week 10 to game week 12, I do need an Arsenal player in here just because their fixtures from game week 7 onwards do start to look really nice. And the third option, I've upgraded Williams of Nottingham Forest up to Murillo, just because of his defensive contributions are so good that you can play him even in the more difficult fixtures. However, Williams is 0.5 cheaper and also is slightly more attacking as well. So I'm not 100% certain which of the two that I'm going to go with. Also, just with their fixtures now in Europe, you might get a slight bit of rotation at fullback, whereas you know Murillo is going to play every single week. I've gone with Anderson as my 4.5 million option. Fulham were actually up there. So I think the 6th best defence for underlying data. They didn't keep nearly enough clean sheets. I think they were 17th for clean sheets last season, but underlying data-wise, they were really strong. Anderson is also good for defensive contributions and the odd attacking return as well. And the 5th one we've gone with is a Steve at Burnley. The reason I've gone with him is he plays Sunderland at home in game week 2, which is when I plan to play my bench boost. We also have the Fulham players. They have Manchester United at home in game week 2. So there are some decent enough options to play the bench boost, but I don't plan on playing it in game week 1. I actually think it works for my squad better in game week 2. Into midfield, as I said earlier on, I have gone with Mo Salah. We've also gone with Cole Palmer. I feel like these two are reliable for captaincy early on in the season. They have a nice run of fixtures. The key one, of course, that is missing in this midfield is Florian Wirtz. We'll talk about why in just a moment. The cheaper options we've gone with are Iliman Ndiaye, who keeps his place on penalties for Everton, looking very nice. I've got my eye on Mohamed Kudus now, of course, at Spurs as well. I've also got a little bit of an eye on Paqueta at West Ham at 6 million. Now he's being cleared and might be on penalties with a decent run, including Sunderland on the opening day. But at the moment, for minutes, for fixtures, and for reliability with penalties, I've gone with Iliman and Dye, who finished last season very well. And then the two cheaper options I've gone with are Anderson, and we've gone with Fulham option in Harry Wilson. Now, the reason for Harry Wilson, he's gone and looked very good in pre-season, picking up a couple of goals. He's also on some set pieces as well, and in at just 5.5 million. And as with my defenders, I've got a Fulham and a Nottingham Forest defender. And if you look at FPL Rotation Planner, the graphic I'll put up on screen now, if you want to check them out, the link is in the description. I use it all the time. They rotate really well over the first few weeks as well. So I'd play one of them pretty much every single week. So that is what my midfield looks like. Of course, no Verts though. The reason for that is in my forward line, I've gone with Ollie Watkins. That is because I like him for the start of the season. I also like Morgan Rogers, but when there's someone like an Alexander Isak who I might want, someone like a Gyökeres at Arsenal who I might also want, having that slightly more expensive forward in my lineup does feel like quite a sensible thing for me to do, so that it makes it easier if I want to go and stretch my budget to try and buy one of those in. So we've gone with Watkins, we've gone with João Pedro, and we've gone with Chris Wood. Now, I like João Pedro, but I'm not certain of his minutes. If Dominic Solanke is fit for the start of the season, he'll probably get this spot. Chris Wood is one I'm having a look at as well. So it's quite expensive in the forward line, which does mean it doesn't leave me all the budget I want to go and buy someone like a Verts, who feels like the big player I'm missing outside of the obvious like Erling Haaland as well. Now, there is a potential way that I could free up money to go and buy Verts and not go with João Pedro, and that is thanks to new signing for Sunderland that has happened literally just as I go and record this video, and that is Mark Gouy, who is of Chelsea in the game at the moment, has just been announced that he's going to sign for Sunderland on loan. Now, the fixture for Sunderland to start the season, as you can see, are really nice. He is 4.5 million, but he is one that I could look at if we think he's going to start. It's definitely not guaranteed at the moment, but if you look at the rotation that we've got here between both him and Anderson, who I've currently got in my midfield, it is actually on FPL Rotation Planner the second best rotation that you can put together in the entire game for the first 11 game weeks, only behind the Wolves and Arsenal rotation. And if you've got an Arsenal player, you're probably not rotating them all together. So probably the best rotation you're actually going to look at for the start of the season. So I could look at doing a transfer that would downgrade João Pedro to Mark Gouy and upgrade Wilson in my midfield all the way up to Florian Wirtz and change my rotation. Now, I'm not going to do it just yet. It is something I'm keeping an eye on, and it is a way that I could get Wirtz into my team if Mark Gouy looks like he's going to be a starter at Sunderland, and I'm not certain on João Pedro, or of course I could sell Chris Wood for my forward line as well. So that is how the squad is looking at the moment. It is quite strong up front, but I'm starting to find a bit of balance in defence, a bit of balance in my midfield, and actually quite a nice forward line as well. Of course, the players I'm looking at, of course, Haaland. Do I need to own Mo Salah? How do I get Wirtz in? And maybe Morgan Rogers as well. So just to wrap up and have a look at what my team is lining up for currently in game week 1. Keller, of course, would start in goal. Saliba, Murillo and Levi Colwill, all with decent enough fixtures, although Saliba away at Manchester United. I do think I'll have one 6 million defender. Haven't fully decided who it's going to be. I could downgrade and go with a Tarkowski or something in there, but they aren't fully ready for the start of the season, and David Moyes has even said so much, so I'm not certain on an Everton defender, and they notoriously start slow. They've actually only kept 2 clean sheets in their first 10 games in both of the past 2 seasons together, so I'm not certain I want to go with an Everton defender. So Saliba is in, Murillo, Cole, we've got Anderson on the bench, and then we've got Estave last on the bench as well. Salah, Palmer, Anderson and Iliman and Dye, my 4-player midfield, and we're benching Harry Wilson away at Brighton, although he does have explosive potential, and I could start him over Anderson so I don't have triple Nottingham Forest. And then up front at the moment, of course, it's João Pedro, Watkins and Chris Wood. Mo Salah captain and Palmer vice captain as well. That is where things stand. I do think I'll probably end up with Salah for game week 1 unless Alexander Isak does sign, in which that might change the way I'm thinking a little bit. But that is where we're at. The new draft after the game has been out for just a week and a half and 2 weeks to go until the start of the season. Let me know what you think. Let me know any questions you have about my team. Is no Vert really crazy? I'm seeing some of you start to consider the no Salah, no Haaland draft, which I am looking at in the background as well, but it hasn't made it to my official draft just yet. Any questions you have, drop it all in the comment section down below. 2,000 likes is the aim. Thank you all so much for watching. The next time you will see me will be on Sunday 9:30 a.m., where we will be officially back with daily uploads until the start of the season. Thank you all very much for putting up with a slight lack of content. My honeymoon is drawing to a close. It's very sad to see it, but for you, it does mean the content is going to be back fully. I will see you all on Sunday morning for the next video. Thank you all for watching. 2,000 likes to the subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll be back again very soon.